Other than that, I'll say I certainly agree with you, Larry.
Here's the circumstance. John mentioned something very important, that we're spending $600 billion plus on the Pentagon, but that's really only about half the story. When you add up the expenditures on Veterans Affairs from the CIA and this agency and that agency, it comes to about $1 trillion. Now, when we get down to the politics of that, what we're going to do about it, you have some choices. You have the choices of people that are going to continue with the same motivation that they've had for the last 15 years or the last several decades, or you're going to look to somebody that has the motivation to look to change this. And we have got to change it. And Larry, you're exactly right. We have to find a candidate that's motivated to change it, and then we have to help him do that. If we sit back, nothing's going to happen. But I guarantee you, if some of these Republicans are elected, or if Hillary Clinton is elected for that matter, the status quo is going to be maintained because there's no motivation to change. And without that motivation, it's just not going to happen. And what's happening with the military, you summarized it very well. It's moving more and more towards private contracting, which is more and more expensive and less effective. They don't follow the rules of engagement. In the Iraq War, a lot of GIs were killed and wounded because contractors didn't know what the hell they were doing. And the American people better start waking up to this, because our standard of living is going down, our prosperity is going down, and we're spending $1 trillion on the military, which is not doing their job. And it was said earlier by Ellen, the military is good at two things: killing people and destroying property. That's what they're for. And when we're interjecting ourselves into all these places around the world, it's not going to be effective, because they're going there to do the things that they do well, which is kill people and destroy property. That doesn't win friends. That doesn't make friends. It makes enemies. And that's why we're under more threat now than we were several decades ago. When are we going to learn that, folks? And Bernie is the only politician that I see out there that gives us a chance to learn that. Otherwise, it's going to be the status quo.
Thank you, Jude. Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is a fellow by the name of Alan Tate. He's been an interested activist in local politics since 2007 in the national and presidential campaigns. He's going to be talking about immigration. Is that too loud?
Cell phone.
Sorry.
Stand by, technical announcement. While Mitch was trying to set up a video that Bernie has on his website, but he talks about immigration. I think it's really great to hear him talking about it. And then I'm going to cover some of the issues. I've also got on the website this same presentation that you will see here, in case you want to go back and get more information, and you missed it tonight. And the other thing is that I also have another document that covers in depth of what Bernie has said on the website, but it would take too much time for us to talk about tonight. But I do have a question for you while Mitch is operating. And the question is, would anybody who is a Native American please raise their hand? I see no hands. I see all immigrants or ancestor immigrants before us, which is part of the point I'm going to be making.
What was the name of it? Native American. Oh, I see. That's it. Right. We're all immigrants, right?
Now I lost my train of thought.
Also take about 45 seconds.
So, in that 45 seconds of being time, Bernie basically is my covering of this whole thing. Basically covers 4 sections, as I see it anyway, 4 sections dealing with immigration. And one of them is what you might call standard immigration, where people want to come to live in the United States, and so they apply for a visa and they get approved and they come. Contrary to that, there are other people who don't apply but still want to come, and so they come, and so we call them illegal immigrants. Then there's another group of people who are desperate, fleeing persecution and wars and all that kind of thing, and we categorize them as refugees. And then there's a 4th group we have now managed to forget what they are, but I'll leave that to your imagination. This is a pretty broad type of a topic, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it in the next, 9 months, in other words, leading up to the actual election.
Our job is to reach out to those Republicans. Our job is to reach out to young people who don't understand the significance of politics for their rights. Our job is to bring people together. We have got to end the divisions in this country between gangs and tricks. Between black and white. And we have got to also understand that when we bring people together, we cannot forget that there are 11 million people in this country who are living in the shadows. We've got to bring them out of the shadows. It must be about bringing families together, not dividing them. We need comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship.
Great.
Thanks, Mitch. You're welcome. So, the key thing about Bernie, you may know a little bit about his background. His dad came to the U.S. when he was 17, I think it was, and he had no money, like most immigrants, but he made his way. And he came from Europe, where there's been a lot of strife.
When you get down to basics,
I'll fix that.
and you talk about morality, it seems to me that the least that we can do is a nation which has more income and wealth inequality than any other major country on earth.
He's right, though.
And so anyway, Bernie's, I think, a real humanist, and he really has a lot of empathy for people, partly because of the way I think he grew up. But nevertheless, I think that's a good set of qualities to have in a presidential candidate and hopefully our president of the nation. And so you probably have already read this overview, but you notice he's talking about fair and humane. Just left, didn't he? All right. So, he's got.
You want to move it? Is that what you wanted to do?
Well, that might work.
Because right on the edge there is where that little thing, far right corner is below the X. That far upper corner, far right upper corner. That's stop there, right there. Now that move, if that's what you want to do, is move it down. Click on that and then move down. That's right. Is that what you want? Yeah.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Let's talk about involving the audience, right? Thank goodness.
That guy.
These are 6 bullets, of which you can see 4 at this point, in which he's sort of basing his campaign relative to.
Back to the mic, please.
He's basing his campaign relative to his immigration policies. And so as probably most people know, it's a pretty inhumane program that we have at this point, whether it's detention centers and and deportation programs, and not really much at all happening to try to keep people here and to make a better life for them. So he wants to change the legislation and do it quickly, and he's got a roadmap for doing that. In particular for one of those groups that I talked about earlier, which are the undocumented or illegal aliens. And in tune with this, he's going to try to tighten up the borders, which is good. Whether you're from Arizona or from Iowa, I guess. But and then he also wants to modernize our visa system so that it'll be easier to get a visa. Right now, it takes about 10 years to get a visa, so that's unreasonable. And then he wants to enhance the justice and reverse the criminalization that is going on with the immigrants. And because if they're caught currently and they're sent back, then they get a black mark against them. And if they haven't done anything wrong, but they get swept up in some ICE program, he really wants them to still have a chance to stay here. And all the people that I am guessing were, that I know that are illegal immigrants, they're all good people. They're all hard workers, and they're contributing a lot to our nation. And I'm talking about it on the person on the street level, let alone the employers who need all of these people to do their jobs. So there's a lot that he hopes to put together. And I want to show you some slides in order to get an idea of the magnitude of this program. Magnitude of the problem.
Okay. So,
Questions are who are we? We're a nation of immigrants. Nobody's a Native American here. And just quickly, that in 2012, so we'll call that current, there were 750,000 immigrants that actually got naturalized. So this process of becoming an official citizen is ongoing, and that's good. I think that Bernie wants to expand that so that the people who are here perhaps illegally or who want to come and join with the American citizenry, that'll make it easier and quicker for them to do that. There were 42 million, I'll call them firstborn, not firstborn, but actual immigrants in the country. In other words, these aren't people who were born here, these were immigrants that came. And that was recently 2013. So there's a lot of people there. And then we've got another, they say 11 million who are undocumented, so that's like 50,000. And interestingly, of the 40 million, and these are the ones that came in legally, and you can see on the graph that there were 10 million that came in from Mexico in just the most recent years here. And they account for most of the immigrants that are coming into the, well, the largest group anyway, that are coming into the U.S. Now, I'm kind of trying to skip through this as fast as I can because I just want to leave with some what I call memory magnets. Now, whereabouts? So we've talked about the U.S. How about where do they live? And you can see that a quarter of the foreign-born population, they live in California. And here in Florida, we've got about 9% of that total. And there are 9 states that contain 70% of that immigration population. And then look at this slide from Florida. So Florida has 9% of the total, they say 42 million immigrants. And but Florida also has a lot of other people that have come to live here in Florida from, as you can see by the colors, from all over the place, other states. But down at the bottom, It shows the number of people